always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
All right, it is the Steve Gruber Show. Glad to have you here, kicking off another brand new day and a short week, holiday week here on the program, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom, which always makes me ask, who do you want in your foxhole? New week, time to find out. We're burning daylight, time to get into it, get rolling. Number one today of the three big things, whips, chains, and the CDC. The Democrats defending the guy who ran COVID policy despite bizarre fetish pics and videos that are all over the internet. Number two, remember when Democrats thought it was fine to watch Minneapolis and other major cities burn to the ground during the Summer of Love? Now they think stopping crime in D.C. and Chicago is a terrible idea. Yeah, okay. And number three today, I hope you had a great Labor Day weekend. Day to celebrate the American worker like never before. Under President Donald Trump, we're seeing a renaissance of American labor, a revival of the heart and soul of this great nation. Compare that to the last year or 4 years. Under Sleepy Joe Biden, when workers were struggling, factories were shuttered, and the American dream was on life support. Instead, we've got a president who honors the American worker. Hell, he even works among them sometimes, of course. Remember this?
I could do this all day. I wouldn't mind this job. I like this job. I think I might come back and do it again.
Thank you.
Look at that.
Mr.
Look at that. How are you?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Nice to see you.
You made it possible for ordinary people like us to meet you.
You're not ordinary.
I mean, thank you so much
You
for
are not
everything you
ordinary.
do.
I can see.
We pray for you, and you are the type of
We're
person.
seeing the tip of the iceberg. So right now, I think.
Of course, President Trump, well, he is serving up a lot more than just French fries these days. First off, foreign investment pouring into the United States like never before. Here's the latest figure from Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Listen in.
As a result, so that the top businesses in the world can create high-paying jobs in America and hire American workers to fill them.
Yeah. Under Biden in 2024, our economy was bleeding. Global investors saw a weak, woke administration that couldn't protect American interests. Fast forward to today. President Trump's America First policies have turned that around. His tough stance on trade and his charm offensive with world leaders have made the U.S. the hottest destination for capital. Companies from Japan to Germany sinking billions into American soil. Why? Because they know Trump's tax cuts and deregulation make this the best place to do business. Biden's America? A risky bet. Trump's America? A gold mine. And speaking of companies, let's talk about the manufacturing miracle. Under Joe Biden, our factories were ghost towns, hollowed out by decades of bad trade deals and globalist nonsense. China was eating our lunch, and American workers left with crumbs if they had anything at all. But Trump's tariffs, oh, those tariffs that are up for grabs at the moment, bringing manufacturing back home. A 2024 study showed his first-term tariffs sparked a reshoring boom. Now in 2025, we're seeing giants like Hyundai and AstraZeneca commit billions to build factories right here in the USA. Biden's policy sent jobs overseas, as did his predecessors. Trump's bringing them back to Main Street for good. Now let's get to the job market because, folks, it's roaring. Last year, Biden's labor market was propped up by government bloat. Unemployment stuck at 4.1%, and manufacturing was shedding jobs like a bad haircut. But under Trump, we're seeing a private sector boom. Since he took office, over 500,000 new jobs have been created, with 228,000 in March alone, crushing expectations, all while cutting government waste. And here's the kicker. 100% of those new jobs are going to American citizens. Yeah, you heard that right. Americans are getting the jobs. Why? Because the crackdown on illegal immigration means American workers aren't competing with cheap foreign labor anymore. Foreign-born workers lost 1.5 million jobs. Native-born Americans gained 1.8 million jobs. That's what putting America first looks like. And those tariffs, they're not just bringing jobs back, they're filling our coffers. Here's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent.
I've been saying $300 billion, but I think it could be much higher. Every $300 billion is 1% of GDP. we got left with a mess in terms of the deficit to GDP, the highest ever when we weren't in a recession, weren't at war. So just with the tariff income, we're going to be in the fives, which is incredible. Like that, that's like running a marathon and starting 5 miles before everybody else.
Yeah. Biden's globalist trade policies left us with a $1.2 trillion trade deficit in 2024. $1.2 trillion. Bleeding wealth to countries like China. Trump's 10% blanket tariff plus targeted levies on cheaters like China, now raking in hundreds of billions in revenue. That's money going straight to rebuilding our infrastructure, cutting taxes for working families, making America competitive again and wealthy. Critics whine about cost, but studies from the Economic Policy Institute and even Janet Yellen herself confirm Trump's tariffs don't fuel inflation. They drive investment and production right here at home. Speaking of workers, blue-collar wages are soaring under Trump, right alongside GDP. Here is our trade representative, Jamison Greer. Listen.
Remember, the trade policy is just one pillar of the broader economic policy. When the gas prices are low for consumers, it also means that they're getting lower for our manufacturers and companies that make in America, and that makes us much more competitive. We just had GDP revised upward again to 3.3% for the second quarter. Blue-collar wages are up 1.4% over this time last year. So everything that was intended for this economic policy to get working-class wages up and to get inflation down, all of that's working.
Yeah. Well, in July of 2025, average wages were up, get this, 3.9% from last year, outpacing inflation, which is really the point, and it's cooling off. Real wages for middle and low-income workers are up 0.4%. Manufacturing workers are seeing a 1% boost. Compare that to Biden's term, where real wages tanked 2.4% because of his inflation crisis. Trump's policies, tax cuts, deregulation, tariffs, putting more money in the pockets of welders, truckers, machinists. That's the American dream in action, folks. Real work, real results, real upside. Inflation? Down, down, down. Biden's reckless spending and energy policies had prices skyrocketing. Gas at $3.50 a gallon or more. Eggs, as you know, through the roof. But Trump's rolled back Biden's green energy boondoggles, saving families billions, and wholesale prices dropped nearly 1% last month again. Mortgage rates are down 0.4 of a point. Gas prices the lowest in 5 years. That's real relief for working families. That's real relief for working families. All thanks to America First policies, according to the Labor Secretary. Real quickly, listen to this.
Well, President Trump is putting the American worker first this Labor Day, and he's been doing that since he has been in office. You mentioned the first Trump administration, and now really he has doubled down because he is reclaiming Labor Day through the America First policies. So that's why we're seeing prices go down. You know, Joey, not only did we see that in the One Big Beautiful Bill with no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. Every one of those decisions was for the American worker. So I'm here in Erie, Pennsylvania. I'm going to be in the Labor Day parade to honor the American workers of today, to celebrate everything that they have built throughout this country that will culminate into next year's 250th anniversary. And it's all been at the leadership of President Trump.
All right, we'll take a break. Nice to see you on a Tuesday. It's the Steve Gruber Show, back after this. There's always something to make you look around. There's always... All right, diving back into it. Let's not forget now, as we talk about Labor Day and kind of reflect on where we are economically here. Let's not forget Trump's investment in our future workforce. He has signed executive orders to modernize apprenticeship programs with 1,736 new registered apprenticeship programs and over 183,000 new apprentices just since January. The Department of Labor is pumping $35 million into training for high-demand fields like AI, advanced manufacturing, nuclear energy. Money well spent. Here's some more from Labor Secretary Lori Chavez.
Well, what we're seeing is unemployment definitely holding steady, but we're seeing real wages up. We're seeing blue-collar wages up 1.4%. Consumer confidence is up. I'm on my 50-state tour across this country. I've hit 32 states already, and I'm talking to the men and women who are on the ground every single day, trying to understand what they need assistance with. So some of the things that we've done, expansion of Pell Grants through the One Big Beautiful Bill, which will give access to so many people who had maybe a barrier to further education. The apprenticeship program. The president wants 1 million active apprentices. And so I'm on the ground talking to the trades, talking to the firefighters, talking to law enforcement. You know, I was just in New England on a 6-state swing in 4 days, talking to submarine shipyard builders. I mean, we're seeing people are excited about the investments that the president is making.
Yeah. Trade school enrollment is at record highs. Empowering the next generation of American workers. Biden's idea of workforce development, handouts to big banks and green energy cronies. Trump's building a skilled, self-reliant workforce. Then there's the Veteran Affairs miracle. Under Biden, our heroes were stuck in bureaucratic limbo with backlogs piling up. Trump's cut that backlog by 40%, getting veterans the care and benefits they deserve faster than ever. That's leadership that honors our warriors, not lip service. Finally, let's talk about the spirit of Labor Day 2025. Listen.
What the president is doing is changing 40 years of a failed bipartisan consensus in Washington, D.C. that has sold out American workers and destroyed the underlying economic strength of the United States of America.
They are just raking in the wins one after another, whether it's restructuring global trade and getting other countries to pay us, passing the One Big Beautiful Bill, and the massive tax incentives there for investing in America, the most aggressive deregulatory campaign in history, and an energy abundance agenda that's brought down gas prices and energy prices for ordinary families.
He has told companies around the world that America is open for business. This is more money coming into your community. This is your hometown where you grew up that has been shuttered because globalists have sold you out, reviving again. Factories where your neighbors are having good paying jobs, where more money is going back into your pockets. And every time you go to the store to purchase a product, you're no longer seeing made in China on the back. You are seeing made in America on the back. That's
Yeah. Under Biden, workers felt forgotten, crushed by inflation and open borders. Today, Trump's giving them hope, opportunity, and pride. Pride is important. From surging wages to booming factories, from tariff revenues to citizen-first jobs, this is an America where the welder, the farmer, and the trucker are kings and queens. So this Labor Day, go ahead, raise a glass of President Trump and the American worker, because together we are making America great again. I mean, you look around. We're on the road to recovery here. It's getting better all the time, and it feels good, doesn't it? I mean, if you were out on Labor Day, maybe you saw the same thing I did. The roads were full. People were pulling their campers and their boats and going up north or heading back south or going wherever you go in your state, going to the beach, going to the barbecue. I mean, this is a good place to be, isn't it? Feels good to be in America. Feels good. And I'm going to be showing you something here in a minute. And I'll tell you about this right now. Here's what's happening because of all this. College-age voters, people between 18 and 30 years of age, we'll just call them college-age voters, 18 to 30, favoring the Republicans by 12 points. There's a Huge surge of young people to the right. This used to be fertile ground for the Democrats, something they could always count on. Young people voting for them and their progressive ideas. Not anymore. A brand new poll here. A wave of young people embracing conservative views, breaking from the liberal bent that dominated the youth of past generations. Younger people all over the country are waking up, said Kieran Laffey, a junior studying political science at George Washington University in the nation's capital. Everything we've seen for the past even decade, people like myself, young white men, completely demonized, almost hated, and told that somehow we're wrong, we're racist, we're sexist. Yeah, you keep telling people how awful they are. They tend to reject that idea. A Yale youth poll, spring 2025, found that voters 20 to 29 favor the Democrat candidate by a margin of 6 points, but those aged 18 to 21 favored the Republican candidate by 12 points. 12 points. The youngest eligible voters lean Republican, and in a very, very big way. So there you have it. Big stuff. Well, a new administration in Washington, D.C. has brought a lot of positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system, too. But the truth is this. If we want to make America healthy again, it starts at home. That's where the wellness company comes in. You hear from their doctors on this network all the time, and their Recharge product is a game changer. Only formula combining methylene blue and urethylene A. Designed to power your brain, charge your cells, get your energy boosted. Recharge enhances mental clarity and focus, increases ATP production to fuel your cells, supports healthy aging with powerful antioxidants. It also strengthens your muscles, boosts endurance, and revitalizes damaged mitochondria. Giving you clean, lasting energy without the crash. You just boom. Convenient tablets, no mess, no blue tongue. You get results you can feel. It's the latest great product from the wellness company. Love these folks. TWC.health/Gruber. TWC.health/Gruber. Get the promo code Gruber. You'll save 10% on all the products at the wellness company. My good friends, let's start this fall with good health at the wellness company. It's the Steve Gruber Show. I'll be right back. You see a lot of things happening in the headlines, obviously, that are of great concern. And then there's things that are going on that you don't hear about, but are pretty important, and are important to me. Carrie Lake runs Voice of America. Carrie Lake, the former candidate for governor in Arizona, is running Voice of America, which is supposed to be a promotional arm of the United States. It's supposed to be a cheerleading arm of the United States, but instead, it has become a progressive voice, almost an anti-American voice of the left. Doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? No, it doesn't. So Lake is chopping positions. Here's what she wrote on social media. Tonight, the U.S. Agency for Global Media initiated what is known as a reduction in force, or RIF, of a large number of its full-time federal employees. We're conducting this RIF at the president's direction to help reduce the federal bureaucracy, improve agency service, and save the American people more of their hard-earned money. That was posted to social media. USAGM will continue to fulfill its statutory mission after this RIF and will likely improve its ability to function and provide the truth to people across the world who live under murderous communist governments, and other tyrannical regimes. I look forward to taking additional steps in the coming months to improve the functioning of a very broken agency and make sure America's voice is heard abroad where it matters most. It's time to step up for America. There you go. While corrupt elites got rich off crypto, hardworking American like you often got left behind, but not anymore. Block Trust, IRA. Changing that, bringing the crypto opportunity to real Americans like you. With crypto fueling President Trump's America First economic miracle, now is your chance to join the movement. The Animus AI trading platform runs 24/7, crushing old school strategies, helping patriots like you build wealth, serious wealth, just like the elites. It's been named the #1 crypto tech platform by Bitcoin Magazine. If you sit there and wonder about Bitcoin and Ethereum, don't wait anymore. Block Trust IRA is there for you. Some of their clients have seen returns up to 250%. Whether you're a teacher, small business owner, retiree, doesn't matter. Sign up now. You can qualify for $2,500 in bonus crypto. Go find out more. SteveGruberCrypto.com. SteveGruberCrypto.com. It's real. That's what I can tell you. Crypto is real, and it's here to stay. All right? I'll be back with more. Glad to have you here as we kick off a short holiday week on the Steve Gruber Show. All right, back into it now. Hope you had a great holiday weekend. I do. I really enjoyed. We were on the lake quite a bit. Kids, you know, surfing and tubing and all that stuff. I don't tube anymore. You know, it gets to a certain point where, you know, I did it last year. I'm like, you know, I'm just too old for that crap. And, you know. Last thing, ripped your shoulder out, Gruber. How'd you do that? Well, you know, I was tubing. What do you think? You're 18, you know? Well, no, but, you know, I'm still in pretty good shape. And can you imagine getting shoulder? Yeah, no, good. Not going to rip the shoulder out for that. All right. So here's a warning to you when it comes to the job market. How many times have you heard, oh, go learn to program, go learn to code, go learn to do computer work? None of it's worth anything to you now. AI is going to replace all sorts of people. Who would need an accountant if you've got AI? If AI can go through the tens of thousands of pages of the IRS, do it officially. It's right down the line, right? Sorry, accountants, you're going to be at the top of the list of the replacement theory. I'm sorry to tell you, but you're in real trouble. Here's a San Francisco tech CEO said that because of artificial intelligence, he cut 4,000 jobs. Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff said the use of AI agents has enabled him to rebalance his headcount in the customer support division by trimming 4,000 jobs. Reduced from 9,000 to 5,000 because I need less heads. He called the first 8 months of 2025 10,000 jobs lost to AI. 8 of the most exciting months of my career is what he called it. Oh, yeah. There were more than 100 million leads that we have not called back at Salesforce in the last 26 years because we didn't have enough people. We just couldn't call them back. But now we have an agentic sales that is calling back every person that contacts us. AI. Cutting jobs. AI agents, artificial intelligence. I don't talk to AI, though. Salesforce, the largest private employer in San Francisco, has 76,000 employees globally, but they got 4,000 less today. Housing. Housing has been a big concern, but housing prices coming down as there seems to be a lot of gloat in the market after it peaked, right? Well, Scott Bessent says that Trump may declare a housing emergency later this year to address rising prices. To lower the cost for housing. I don't know how that would work. This comes as President Trump has been pushing for Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell to lower the interest rates, which will happen in September this month. In an interview in the Washington Examiner, Scott Bessent told reporters the Trump administration hopes to make affordability a key part of the GOP platform in 2026 and added, we may declare a national housing emergency in the fall. The Treasury Secretary didn't get into full specifics what that would mean. Meanwhile, though, if you look around in places like Las Vegas, you go ahead and look at the prices in Las Vegas. They're coming down. You go to Fort Myers, Florida, prices coming down. Cape Coral, Florida, has now become one of the most affordable markets in America because the prices have crashed or are continuing to come down. There's a glut of supply. See, all these people rushed in during COVID and bought up houses, and a lot of people thought, well, I'll be an Airbnb billionaire. Sorry, it didn't work out for you. You were behind the curve, you're behind the wave, and now people are, you know, getting out because they're just getting smoked, right? So, there it is. Last week, by the way, I was in Washington. If you didn't know, I was in the Capitol for the week. Terribly ill the first couple of days of the week because I got food poisoning. Don't do that. If you've ever had it, you know what I'm talking about. Just the most horrible thing for about 24 to 36 hours, and you're just, yeah, you're not very functional. I was not functional. But once we got rolling, we had a pretty good week. I was in that cabinet meeting with the president, 3 hours, 19 minutes, the marathon cabinet meeting, which doesn't count the 45 minutes we stood staged in the hall because they stage up the reporting crew, right? So you're in the hall, you're waiting outside the cabinet room, you're out there as they wrap up their business behind closed doors, and then they bring you in. So all told, it was 4 hours plus of that deal. Great, I got a question into the president. And then I had a chance on Thursday with Caroline Levitt to ask a question again. My point is this. Defund the police, I think, was one of the worst ideas ever. Ever. Maybe the worst idea ever. And I think there's got to be a way that this president from his bully pulpit in D.C. can help support getting more people into being police officers and first responders in this country. Here's what I asked her.
With respect to Labor Day, one of the most underrepresented groups right now are police officers. 30,000 police officers short in America right now. To Brandon's question, 1,300 short in Chicago, 3,000 short in New York, 500 short here in Washington, D.C. What can the White House, what can the President do to help recruitment of police officers? You've done well with the military and Border Patrol. What can be done to get more police officers on the streets of America?
Well, the president has certainly been very successful in recruiting federal law enforcement. If you look at the ICE recruitment campaign that was led by he and our Secretary of Homeland Security, we've seen more than, I believe, 130,000 applicants to join ICE, which is just amazing. There's more applicants now than there are jobs to fill, and we're very grateful for that. Clearly, Americans want to serve their communities. They just need a leader who encourages them to do so. So maybe Governor Pritzker should spend less time demonizing the police, more time trying to recruit more police, and more time trying to call the President of the United States to get crime in his city under control. The President wants to allow law enforcement, whether it's state, local, federal, to do their jobs, to arrest criminals, to put them behind bars, and to remove public safety threats from American communities. He'll continue to do that.
He'll continue to do that. So there you have it. I'm just trying to prompt the President to get more involved in recruiting local police officers. We'll see if anything comes of that, but pretty important stuff. Oh, and by the way, compare and contrast that to this. I found this promotional video for Southern California yesterday while I was doing my work for you. You know, I spent a lot of time working for you because I just want you to come here, learn something, be updated on something, make sure you have the headlines, and maybe have a little bit of fun along the way as well. Well, here's a promotional video for Southern California I found yesterday, perusing the internet for you. I think you'll enjoy it.
Is your city boring? Too clean? Too safe? Why not take a vacation to beautiful Southern California? Whether you're being assaulted by our drug-addicted vagrants walking down Hollywood Boulevard, or you're just taking a minute to enjoy the scenery of used needles, trash, and human waste, Southern California is the ultimate destination for cultural enrichment. Why not see what awaits you under future President Gavin Newsom? Come visit SoCal today and see what everyone is talking about. Is your city...
Come see what everybody's talking about. Anyhow, here's a message to any business owner listening right now. Is something holding your business back and you can't quite figure it out? What if you could figure it out in just one phone call? If you could fix the bottleneck, have a clear custom plan to go forward, to scale your business, to reach the potential that you're looking for. I've partnered with my good friend Grant Cardone to give you that, and it's free. Plus, get expert insights, proven systems that can be used right away. Your breakthrough for your business starts at Gruber10x.com. You can go here. It's a free consultation with Grant Cardone and his team. There it is on your screen. We've had some people go. They said they have only had one person sign up. I'm like, really? I got a lot of business owners watching this program. Guys, this is free. Gruber10x.com. I don't know what else I can do for you. Gruber10x.com. Business owners, get there. Well, I guess summer's come to its unofficial end, right? And look, I had a great summer. Went to a lot of great restaurants, maybe had a couple of beers. Just let me tell you, that's just the way it is. Had a couple, had a great time. Maybe gained a couple of pounds I wasn't so thrilled about. But my next guest, look, I went back to 2018, looked it up. That's when I did it, was January and February 2018. My Pure Health Solutions. I lost a bunch of weight, and I did it the right way. I wasn't getting the shot in the leg. I wasn't doing all that, right? We did it the right way. And my next guest, Missy Malone, is here, and she owns My Pure Health Solutions. Missy, welcome back to the program, because we need to help some folks that maybe had some great restaurant experiences like I did and had a couple of beers and a couple of extra pounds. It's summer. It happens, right?
It happens to the best of us. Exactly.
It does happen. All right, so I've known you for a long time. We have had some remarkable success stories here that we've shared with people, but let me point this out. You have told me from day one it's not people's fault that they can't lose weight. Why do you tell them that it's not their fault?
Oh my gosh, wake up call to everybody. We've been lied to. The $90 billion industry has never told you why you can't lose weight because they've never designed a product to fix the problem. And we do. We fix the problem.
And how do you do that? How do you identify how people lose weight? I know, you kind of tune people in. It's a frequency thing for you. You get their frequency figured out. Look, the foods that make me have a couple extra pounds, not the same thing that you would eat or drink that would have you do the same. Our bodies are different, aren't they?
Absolutely. Every single person is different on the inside. There are 2,800 biological markers that are actually controlling the metabolism. And thanks to people like Nikola Tesla, who's talked about frequencies, in the early 1900s. So your audience understands that the government might not be our best friend. And so what we use is technology discovered 100 years ago, but it's been suppressed. So we're able to scan clients wherever they are. We have a device that we send to them, and we're able to look at the 2,800 biomarkers inside their body, looking to see which ones stopped working. And then we're able to turn them back on thanks to technology. It's a little Star Trek-y, but it works.
So basically, this is a big part of it. You're being able okay, so I'm not 25 anymore. Hurts my feelings, but that's true. And weight loss at 25, 45, 65, whatever, it's different, right? Because you're different phases of your life, your body's in different places, but you can still turn on people's metabolism. You can get them burning fat again, get into fat burn, right? You can do this.
Absolutely. It's flawless because we're using your body. We're going to give people customized. If you're on a diet program and it is not customized to you, you're not fixing the problem that's on the inside of your body. So we send you customized formulas. We give you a food list. You're going to eat real food, not fake food. There's no exercise involved because it's an inside inner healing job. Your cells that need to communicate to make your fat metabolism turn back on. That's what we do. And men drop 35 to 50 pounds in 40 days with us, and women on average anywhere from 25 to 32 pounds. And that's shape shifting because we're turning the metabolism on, which means you're going to burn fat. You're going to balance your hormones. We're going to remove specific toxins that your body's accumulated over the years. So when we turn the metabolism on, when you jumpstart the battery to your car and it turns back on, that is not a miracle. It shouldn't be considered a miracle when we turn your metabolism on, but most people call it a miracle because they've never seen it happen before. And then we're going to show you how to keep it off for good.
Yeah,
so
in fact, we've had people, you and I, that we've met along the way because I went through the program. Anybody that follows this program knows I'm not going to talk about something here unless I've done it myself, familiar with it, trust it, whatever. And I trust the process. I lost 47 pounds back in 2018. I didn't even know I needed to lose that much weight. I lost 47 pounds. I might have lost a little bit too much, if you can imagine that. Maybe a little bit too much. Got a little thin. I'm going to go through a touch-up here, a 20-day program. You got 20-day programs for you. Whatever people need, custom fit it to them. I'm going to do that here coming up in a week or two. But here's the real question people ask. How do I know that I'm going to keep the weight off? Because it yo-yos. They do all these diets. They've done it their whole life. They've gone up and down. They lose the weight. They feel great. And suddenly they gain it back or they gain more. How do we know?
Absolutely. Easy peasy. The hypothalamus gland in your brain controls your weight set point. So we're going to work with that. people have never heard about that before. So there's a method to our madness. You just have to give us a call. We're not AI. I have real girls, real staff, not girls, women who are actually they're your coaches. This is a small company with a global that we just want to help people. And we're not AI. You get real touchy.
You're not AI. You're not heavy pharmaceuticals either. It's not a lifetime shot. I mean, I talk to people, and look, I don't begrudge them that. I get it. The GLP-1, they get it. And people have, but you're on it for life, potentially. I don't want that. I don't want to have to take a needle a week for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you don't want your teeth rotting out, your blind.
No, I don't want that either. Worked hard for these. Worked real hard to keep these. All right, so look, we've got a big Labor Day sale, right? 25% off of this weight loss system. And again, folks, I did this. And just for you, so you know, I never went back to where I started. I never gained all that weight back. Did I go back up a little bit? Sure. I'll be honest with you. It goes up and down a little bit. I never went anywhere near the weight that I lost. It worked for me. Tell us about the sale.
For Gruber, for all you Gruber listeners, again, like he said, we have mini fat burn program day. If you want to lose less than 10 pounds, it's easy. It'll be gone in less than 20 days. If you want to lose 20 pounds, it'll be done within a month. But we're going to show you to keep it off for good. And you're going to also get wearable stem cell technology. This is our Labor Day special, 25% off only for the Gruber listenership. And also, you're going to learn a lot about stem cells when you talk to us too.
There you go. GruberHealth.com. You want to feel better? Trust me. I've done this. Believe me, folks, I've done it. I've been there. GruberHealth.com. Lower your blood pressure. Maybe your knees are going to feel better. You're going to look at the mirror and not run away crying. It's going to be good. All right, Missy, greatly appreciate you. Go real quick.
Type 2 diabetic people are off their type 2 within days with us. I mean, blood pressure, it all goes away because your body's going to start working again naturally.
There you go. GruberHealth.com. Just check it out, folks. I did it. Missy's going to be there to help you every step of the way. GruberHealth.com. Support those that support this program every single day. We'll be right back. All right, well, I'm going to continue with the health idea here just for a second longer. My mother, God bless her, my mother, who's been gone a number of years now, made us eat beets as kids. I hated them. I hate beets. There's probably some food in your world where you're like, I can't eat that. Because you got it forced on you when you were a kid. It's like, blah, blah, blah. But beetroot juice, these studies keep coming out about beetroots, beets, rich in nitrates, linked to changing the community of bacteria living in your mouth, which makes you healthier. Yeah, this is just a study that just came out. Researchers, University of Exeter, compared the response of both younger and older participants to the juice, published a study in Free Radical Biology and Medicine. They found that it reduces blood pressure in adults. Yeah. Participants under the age of 30 plus individuals in their 60s and 70s split into separate 2-week phases. One group consumed beetroot juice shots while the other group, a placebo, received a version without nitrates. Each had a washout period between phases to reset their systems. Beetroot juice, slowing down the aging process, improves flexibility, decreases resistance in blood vessels, lowers inflammation. It's all about inflammation. They tell you about inflammation every darn day, don't they? Yeah, does all this for you. So anyhow, it's not any particular product. It's just beetroot juice. If you could, I suppose I could choke it down, but good Lord, I'm telling you, I was scarred by eating beets as a child. Well, what scars you are, make sure you do this. You can go to stevegruber.com. Send me an email. Say, hey, Gruber, here's what got me. I might read your email right here on the air. stevegruber.com. Send me an email. Make sure you follow us on all the social media platforms. X primarily. Facebook, True Social, Getter. And remember, YouTube is where everybody's loving it. Watching the show live on YouTube seems to be the favorite app for people right now. So if you want to join live anywhere in the world, on your phone, on your device, follow us. Hit the like button. All right, we got a lot more coming up in the next hour, so make sure you stay with us here. It's the Steve Gruber Show on a Tuesday. always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
All right, let's get into it as we kick off another brand new hour here of the Steve Gruber Show. Starting a short week after a great holiday weekend. Hope you enjoyed it. A lot of things to get to today as we continue to bring you up to speed on everything that matters so that you are the smartest person when you go out on the street today. The question, who do you want in your foxhole? Well, I'd take you because you're here. Three big things this hour. Number one, the Democrats used to think it's child's play to have young people line up and vote for them, but that is changing and changing quickly. In fact, the teenagers and 20-somethings now support the GOP by double digits. Uh-oh. Number two, nearly 60 people shot in Chicago over the holiday weekend. At least 11 of them are dead, but more could die. That's okay with the mayor and the governor who say this is normal. No need to do anything. We don't want the National Guard here. No, let's just keep killing people in the streets of Chicago. And number three, let's discuss, I haven't done this in a while. Let's discuss COVID, all right? The failed policies and the guy who resigned from the CDC or forced out, doesn't even matter. This guy, if you missed it, the guy that ran COVID policy for the CDC primarily, a walking advertisement for kink and fetishes, and frankly, I don't even know what. But predictably, he's a victim. Now, he's a victim because he's been forced out. Whips, chains, yeah, and the CDC. The guy that had numerous kink videos, it was all over the internet. Bizarre, sadomasochistic, gay fest themes, trying to sell you now, get this, that infants need COVID shots. You see, since he's left the CDC, now who's he working for? Big Pharma. Dr. Dimitri Daskalakis. Here he is.
We're seeing the tip of the iceberg. So right now, I think probably the most prominent demonstration of that is what Secretary Kennedy did with changing the childhood schedule for COVID-19. In that, we were directed that only children with underlying conditions would be the ones that should qualify for vaccination. That's not what the data shows. 6-month-old to 2-year-old, their underlying condition is youth. 53% of those children hospitalized last season had no underlying conditions. The data say that in that age range, you should be vaccinating your child. I understand that not everybody does it, but they have limited access by narrowing that recommendation. Insurance may not cover it.
Oh. So little tiny kids need to be jabbed with this? Mm-hmm. So then when confronted with comments from Robert F. Kennedy Jr., they question how the CDC has operated in recent years. Daskalakis just blames Kennedy. You see, whatever's gone wrong at the CDC for years, how COVID policy was handled, how vaccines were pushed out there, it's Kennedy's fault, you see. Listen.
The CDC is an agency that is very troubled for a very long time, and anybody who lived through the COVID pandemic and saw all of these bizarre recommendations that were not science-based, all the misinformation. There's a lot of trouble at CDC, and it's going to require getting rid of some people over the long term in order for us to change the institutional culture and bring back pride and self-esteem and make that agency the stellar agency that it's always been.
Yeah.
Dr. Daskalakis, is that what the CDC needs in your view, an overhaul?
I think the CDC really is a place filled with great scientists and experts. And I think that if CDC is being characterized as troubled by Secretary Kennedy, I think we have to turn the mirror back to him, because I think that the trouble is emanating mainly from him.
Mm-hmm. It's his fault. Meanwhile, over on Bill Maher's program, Bobby Kennedy showed up, pointed out what a failure the COVID vaccines truly were and are and still will be. Here's what he said.
There's 25% of Americans who believe that they know somebody who was killed by a COVID vaccine.
Killed?
Killed. 25% of Americans, 52% of Americans believe that the vaccines are causing injuries, including death. 52%. Oh, if you look at the clinical trial studies, the actual studies that were done that were released of the Pfizer vaccine, Moderna has not released it. If you look at the Pfizer vaccine, there were 22,000 people in the placebo group, 22,000 people who got the actual vaccine, and the people who got the vaccine had a 23% higher death rate from all causes at the end of that study.
But that could not be the disease itself?
No, well,
because we know that
if it is, then the vaccine doesn't work, does it?
Well, it's certainly. Well, no, that's not. That's.
And if they die, then the vaccine doesn't work. But wait. How could that be true, that the vaccine didn't work? I mean, Pfizer announced in 2021 the jab was 100% effective. I mean, it was remarkable. It was a miracle of science. It was perfect. If you don't remember, listen to this.
We do have some breaking news. Drug maker Pfizer just announcing the results of its vaccine trial for adolescents. It says its coronavirus shot was 100% effective at preventing infection and sickness among 12 to 15-year-olds. This could be a major game changer for reopening schools across America. So joining us now is Dr. Chris Purnell. She's a public health physician and fellow at the American College of Preventive Medicine. Dr. Purnell, great to see you. 100% effective? Is that, I mean, John and I haven't heard numbers like that. Is that unusual to find that efficacy rate?
Well, that's even higher than what we were reported when we had 95% efficacy in adults. Look, we know these mRNA vaccines are a game changer. The technology is different. The technology is very promising.
I mean, it's 100%. I mean, you know, it does not get any better.
We do have some breaking news.
100%. 100%. Yeah, how'd that turn out? I think that Daskalakis pushing vaccines now for kids, for little kids, tells you everything you need to know. The answer is no, absolutely not. At this point, why would anybody take that? I mean, whether you believe it worked or not, you would have to have some questions, wouldn't you? Remember, they called them breakthrough infections. Remember, they were breakthrough infections. They were unbelievable. They had these breakthroughs, and nobody could understand what was going on. Yeah, well, guess what? The breakthroughs weren't really breakthroughs. They were just infections because they didn't do anything. This segment of the program brought to you by PureClean's Veterans Initiative, PureVet program, where veterans find purpose in property restoration and entrepreneurship. We salute those who served. You can find out more at purovet.com, purovet.com, or 855-PuroVet. Yes, you can get help. If you're a veteran, you can get involved with a brand new corporate venture, purovet.com. Find out more. I'll be right back. That's funny. All right, I tell everybody how wonderful it is to have a concierge doctor. And they say, what do you mean? So I have a doctor who we pay a monthly fee to, Avi and I do, and the kids. And it could be Sunday afternoon. I'm sick. Or I could have food poisoning like I did last Monday. And I could call at a strange hour, and she'll answer and say, what's going on? And she'll say, okay, here's what you need to do. And if it gets worse, you need to go to the ER for an IV. Make sure you don't get dehydrated. Thankfully, that didn't happen, but I was really ill, and I called her just last week, and she answers, and we talk. It's remarkable to me, and it's not expensive. That's the remarkable thing. They take no insurance, right? For a single person in good health, you might pay $50 a month. I mean, it's pretty cheap. Dr. Josh Umber is here, family medicine specialist, Wichita, Kansas, to talk more about this program. Primary Care Revolution. Doctor, thank you for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having us on.
Glad to have you here. Look, it's a primary care revolution that's going on out there, and people on the left seem to think it's funny. Look, if you have a regular doctor setup, where you got to call the doctor's office, then you get to talk to the secretary, and then you come in, Me having food poisoning a week ago, I would have talked to nobody except a receptionist who did not care, who would put me on the waiting list in queue, and I'd be on deck for the next day. There is a change, isn't there? This is a revolution to me.
It is a revolution in the making, a grassroots movement. I think patients want better care, but also doctors want to be able to provide better care. There's nothing inherently great about the insurance model. It doesn't make this better, faster, cheaper, easier. We used to think it did, and that's why we've tried to get all of our care through the insurance model. And the direct care movement is challenging that concept to say, look, we don't have car insurance for gasoline or home insurance for lawn care. Why do we have health insurance for regular primary care? And really even a lot of outpatient care. And most people would say, well, because that's all very expensive. And the myth of that is that, no, that's really pretty cheap. An EKG costs me 40 cents. The coffee in the waiting room is 80 cents a cup. So if I don't bill your insurance for the coffee, why do I bill your insurance for the EKG? And all sorts of examples like that, where we can actually bring the cost of care way down.
Well,
if we
it's the
streamline
accessibility
whole process.
For me, it was the accessibility. The first time I went in, and we've had our doctor, I have, 4 years, maybe 3, 4, 5 years. First time I went in for a physical. Usually, the average time with a physician in America is about 7 minutes, I've read somewhere, right? I went in for a physical. I was in there for almost 2 hours. She did something remarkable. She actually found out about me. She asked about who I was, my family, my wife, my marriage, my kids, what I do for fun, what I do in my spare time, how much I work. She actually she found out about her patient. Doctor, it was remarkable. It was a revelation to me. And that's how direct primary care works, right?
Yeah, it's the way it should have always been. We didn't go to med school for paperwork. We went to med school to, learn about people. And that's where most doctors thrive. And if you can create a model that makes care better, faster, cheaper, easier, then it's really going to, excel.
Right. And so we pay our monthly fee, whatever. I think it's like $120 for the family for us. And whatever the price is for you, I can't verify doctors in different places. But direct primary care is available all over this country because there's doctors like you and my doctor who are involved with this all over the country. If you go to direct primary care, you can find one in your neighborhood, most likely, can't you?
Yeah, it took Starbucks 16 years to get 17 stores. And in the last 15 years, this movement's gone from a handful of doctors to more than 2,000 docs doing this model across the country. Because I think patients just respond to it that well. They say, this is the experience I want, where I get plenty of time with my doctor and their cell phone. I was just texting a patient about refills, before we went on. That's the level of simplicity and access and ease that people are looking for.
And how long have you done
But
it?
also, it's more. Well, today's actually our 15-year anniversary.
There you
So
go.
we started 2010.
Yeah, and so my doctor's been at it a number of years. I don't know if it's quite that long. When I first met her, she was a little short on patients. Now she's taking nobody. She's full. So there could be another DPC doctor in my area. If people want to know more about direct primary care, is there a website? Do they search? What do they do to find you guys?
Yeah, there's a great general website, directcare.org, for a foundation that kind of teaches and talks about direct care. Our website is atlas.md. There's the Direct Care Alliance, a number of great websites there where doctors are leading this movement to show other doctors how it can be done, but so patients can see the full value of this model.
And the politics of it, real quick, because the Democrats oppose this. They want the Affordable Care Act to jam this insurance stuff, which the Affordable Care Act never had anything to do with affordability. That's a fact. Yeah. They just want to jam this insurance model down people's throats. That's not what I want. I love this program. We kept to our insurance, of course, because if you have a catastrophic issue or you have to go to the emergency room, that's the way it is. But to have access, that's the thing to me. Access and a familiarity. Our doctor has become our friend. How remarkable is that? I'll give you the last word.
It is remarkable. And I think the idea for the Affordable Care Act is government's not bad. They're just bad at it. And they aren't in the business of business. So they don't have a mechanism in place to drive costs down like the market does.
Sure.
And so, in a movement like this, now we offer unlimited visits, no copays. Every procedure we do is free of charge. And medications and labs are wholesale, so up to 95% less.
Right.
That is how you decrease the cost of healthcare, right?
Yeah.
And then if you do all of that outpatient, you can decrease the cost of insurance.
And
so
you
the
have better
government's
outcomes.
just not
better outcomes. I got to leave it right there, doctor. You come back anytime because I love this conversation. Directcare.org, one of the places you can go right now and find out more. Dr. Josh Umber, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm telling you, I am an absolute believer in this direct primary care. I don't even remember how we got down that road. Somewhere we got down there. So before COVID, right? So gosh, we've had her longer than I thought. Because when we had COVID, we called her on a Sunday, and it was the day after Christmas. I believe it was a Sunday, the day after Christmas in 2021. I have to look at the calendar to confirm that, but she took our call the day after Christmas on a weekend, on a Sunday, because we both had COVID. I can't tell you enough how much we believe in this whole direct primary care thing. And I think that we pay about $120 a month. And with that, you have unlimited visits, phone calls, whatever. I can call today. I can call twice today. Call twice tomorrow. I mean, I wouldn't, but the point is you could. If you needed to. Obviously, you don't want to waste the doctor's time, but for us, our doctor has become our friend, somebody who knows the relationship, the dynamic in our home. What Ivy takes care of, what I take care of, hey, Ivy says you need to take these vitamins. And anyhow, it's kind of, it's fun and it's funny. because it works so well. So, and no, they're not a sponsor. They're just somebody that I'm aware of. That's why I wanted to make it available to you to understand how this could change your life. If you're a young person in good health, like I said, it might be $50 a month to have access to a doctor all the time. How do you beat that? You know, so you have somebody you can call that can write prescriptions. And he was right. You get prescriptions, for example, wholesale. You can get all, because they've got all these deals. She'll say to me, oh, look, I've got a prescription here. Hey, I think I've got a coupon for you or whatever, a discount, a special going on that I can get it for you for cheap. So I strongly support that. Lower out-of-pocket costs, more personalized visits. They get to know you. I think it's the best thing ever. Easy appointments and less overhead for the medical professionals. A doctor actually gets to be a doctor. What a concept. God bless America. All right, I'll take a break. When we come back, John Tamney from Forbes. Work ethic. Work ethic. We talk about work ethic for the last 15 years on this program because it seems to be something that, you know, has faded in America. A lot of lazy people out there. Look, I tell people when they're going to work, hey, I appreciate you going to work today because there's a lot of people that want to stay home and sit on the couch today that are counting on you to go to work so you can pay their bills. Boy, isn't that true. John Tamny is the political economy editor at Forbes, senior economic advisor to Turdor Research and Trading, and editor of RealClearMarkets.com, which I read every day. John, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me on.
I always appreciate you being here. All right, so you say, and I like this, by the way, that's why I had you come on. Here's the headline. End of laziness will run roughshod over, those basic income guarantee, basic income, that we're going to pay people $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. The government's going to, universal basic income. You say laziness is going to get destroyed and work ethic's going to come back. I hope you're right. I see this shift of young people becoming more conservative and rolling up their sleeves and saying, I don't want any part of this socialist nonsense. Is that the trail we're on, John?
Yeah, think about it. Any country rich enough to have a basic income guarantee is a country dense with opportunity. And so the very people who are going to make it possible for something like this to be legislated that you and I wouldn't like are also the same people that are going to create opportunity that's immense, that's endless. Work gets better every single day. In Michigan, where you are, there was an article over the weekend about how robots aren't putting factory workers out of work. It's making their work so much better. They don't have to pick up the big pallets of market goods and carry them and break their back almost quite literally throughout the day. They can focus on the things more associated with their skills. And so the path to wealth is also the path to people finding jobs that they really enjoy.
It's always been true throughout human history that a new invention would come along. And this new invention would be a leap forward. And it was always the same thing. Oh, it's going to cost jobs. People will be broke. Nobody will have work. And what has happened traditionally over the course of human history is that these great leaps forward create more opportunity, more jobs, more employment, more wealth. That's the truth, isn't it?
Yeah, by definition, it's the truth. Let's never forget that the tractor and fertilizer are easily the biggest job destroyers in history. Henry Ford grew up on a farm. But this didn't put him into bread lines. It freed him to do something that the markets really didn't even know they wanted, which was mass produce a car for the multitude. And so anything that destroys work sets the stage for talents that previously had been unrealized to showcase themselves in the marketplace. Where I think we're going right now is we're on the verge of massive amounts of production, where most any market good that you need, you don't just need, but that would be a luxury item for you, will be theirs to you for the taking at very low prices. What that sets up is people doing work that entertains these people who are producing on a level that they never had before. We now have sleep coaches who earn a lot of money. We now have people who quite literally download their sleep process every night on YouTube, and they make over $10,000 a month. We have people who coach girls on how to get into a sorority. We are headed to a society of workers where everyone gets to do what they're really good at. And that's not a lazy worker. That's a very focused, eager worker, someone eager to get up every day because work is how they showcase their unique genius and intelligence.
Well, opportunity is still a big driver as well. Look, I don't know if people grow up and dream about being plumbers and electricians and carpenters, but those are big drivers. Opportunity is a big driver of where you can go and make money. And right now, the trades is a place for money. And look, these are people that work, right? I don't know if you're an HVAC, if you're an electrician, if you're a plumber, we have a shortage of things. If you want to be a truck driver, there is tremendous opportunity out there in America right now. And we're talking about jobs that can pay well into the six figures, sometimes deep into the six figures, if you're good at it and you work hard, right?
Well, they exist and they're going to grow in existence all the time. People thought computers and the internet would put people out of work, but it employs all sorts of people, helping people get online, learning how to best navigate being online. And let's talk about you. Just because you're in a suit doesn't mean that you don't work hard. You work incredibly hard, and you do things that a lot of people would be terrified to do. I think by the same token, if people could see that I produce usually at least one column per day, they'd say, oh my gosh, I could never do that. The act of writing terrifies me. It takes me hours and hours just to get down a few hundred words. They'd say, I couldn't ever do what you do. But for me, I can't get enough of it. And that's what we have to realize. Where we're headed is a scenario precisely because of robots and AI, where everyone gets to specialize in the narrow areas at which they're really good, but that others would say, I could never do that job. I don't want to be an engineer, but it's evident lots of people want to do that. I would be hopeless. I couldn't be a back surgeon. I couldn't be a spine surgeon on my very best day. You could give me all the training. I would always be tragic at it. But a lot of people, that's what they can't imagine not doing. And that's what I mean. The work of the future is what people can't imagine not getting up every day to do. And that's a highly motivated workforce.
It is a highly motivated workforce. Now, some folks, there are always shifts. When technology leaps forward, there are shifts in where people find jobs. Obviously, they went to the John Deere factory. They didn't go to the carriage factory, or they went to the Ford Motor Company factory. What I mean by that is I think accountants could be an endangered species. With AI around, who's going to need an accountant? Because AI, I think, is going to maybe do a lot of that. Am I right or wrong?
No, I think you're probably right, but accountants still have immense talent, and they can use it much more wisely. People always bring up, they say, well, what are these junior analysts, investment bankers at Goldman Sachs going to do now with AI? And I'm saying, and I've always responded, do you really think Goldman Sachs wants to beat them up and force them to do 100-hour work weeks every single week? No, that's not a good use of their time. And so instead of spending all week late into the night, quote, crunching numbers or whatever it is they do, they'll spend far more time at the actual companies that they're pursuing, building relationships with the companies, building relationships with the people at those companies that they're working with. Accountants will be no different. Robots and automation don't put people out of work. They just amplify their unique talents. And again, we're seeing this in Michigan right now. There's a proliferation of robots in industry there, and it hasn't led to mass unemployment. It just meant that the people there, instead of doing the worst kind of factory work, the lifting of heavy objects hour after hour, minute after minute, they're doing things that are more associated with progress, more associated with their skills. It's not going to be different with any other profession. We won't be out of work. We'll just be better at work. And very importantly, we'll be much more valuable at work precisely because we'll be doing what we do best.
Glad to be there. Yeah. And look, I'm not going to kid you. I'm going to get one of those Optimus robots to sweep the floor and take out the trash and do everything else. We're going to have more free time because of these great things. John, I got to leave it right there. Truly appreciate you stopping in today, sir. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yep, there's John. He's on his way to write another column today. It's what he does every day for Forbes and RealClearMarkets.com. Check him out. Worth reading every single day is John Tammy. I'll take a break and be back. Welcome to the week. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Here's a little business, a bit of information that popped up, and I was curious about this. Because housing markets across this country have been on fire for the last several years, as you know. During COVID and so forth, the Airbnb people, they crowded in. They bought all sorts of product or housing and so on and so forth. But it's not all wine and roses right now, I can tell you that. Here's a headline from Redfin. Las Vegas housing supply rises 31%. Demand stumbles, pushing sale prices down. Yeah, the supply is piling up in Las Vegas because would-be home buyers are sitting on the sidelines. Pending home sales fell 8.6% year over year in July. Closed sales by 8.5%. Home sales in Vegas have been falling on a year-over-year basis since this spring. Okay? The homes are selling in Vegas are taking longer than they have in the past. Typical home sold took 55 days. The overall U.S. housing market has been slow for many months due to high home buying costs, widespread economic uncertainty. But a recent Redfin analysis found that Las Vegas is cooling faster than many other metro areas in the country. And this is a common problem. It's a common problem. Most homes are unaffordable for Las Vegas locals. Just 20% of the Las Vegas listings are affordable to a family earning the local median income. To put lack of affordability another way, the typical Las Vegas household would need to spend 40% of their income to buy a median-priced home. A home is usually considered affordable if it's less than 30%. So it's not in line there with where people need to be. And I'm going to just ask this. I'm just going to get some updated market numbers for you because you need them. So Vegas is taking it on the chin, right? Vegas is getting killed here. And it's not just there. But here, I'm going to give you the top markets where prices are crashing. Cape Coral and Fort Myers. I told you that earlier, but that's true. Home prices have dropped significantly. Reports saying a decline of over 11%. The median home price in this area around $399. Homes lingering longer on the market, contributing to price reductions. Tampa, Florida. Prices falling by 6.5% year over year as of July 2025. Austin, Texas, prices down 6%. Miami prices have declined from 4.6 to 19% since July 22 when they peaked. Orlando down, Dallas down, Punta Gorda 7.2%. A lot of these places, Florida got flocked. People flocked to Florida during the pandemic and everything that went on. Phoenix down, San Francisco down. The median price in San Francisco is still $1 million, but these markets are being crushed. 39 of the top 50 U.S. metro areas saw month-over-month price declines in July of 25. That's a record high. So Donald Trump is considering, by the way, declaring a housing emergency because even with all of this happening, there is still a lack of housing available for people in the country. Now, here's on the other side of that, an article that I saw yesterday, and I shared with a couple folks. They said, yeah, that's remarkable. The nation's priciest lake home market is in northern Michigan's Golden Triangle. Northern Michigan's Golden Triangle includes Boyne City, Charlevoix, Petoskey, those areas. And the country's most expensive lakefront home market can be found on the state's 22nd largest inland lake, Walloon. Yeah. Walloon Lake is the most expensive. It's the place where Ernest Hemingway spent his summers for 21 years. He went there. His father bought a place on Walloon in 1899. You can look up this. Hemingway learned to trout fish on Walloon. It's an interesting little side note to all of that. But the priciest lake homes not in the state of Michigan, but in the country. Per foot. There's where you're going to pay the big money is Walloon. And so the rest of the country. If you want a place in Florida, now might be the time, or you might want to wait just a little bit longer because those prices. Look, I like Cape Coral. They got those ground-dwelling owls. These owls are like the size of a 16-ounce can, beer can, if you will. And they're ground-dwelling. They live in the ground. They're protected right there. Cool little animal. We were there. We spent spring break in Cape Coral, I don't know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Great piece of real estate. I love Fort Myers. I love Cape Coral. I love the Peace River. I love that whole stretch of Florida there. And so if you want a shot to be there and that's where you want to retire, you want to be in Florida, the free state of Florida, now is the time to get in on that deal because the prices are so much better than they've been in a very, very long time, that's for sure. This part of the program brought to you by my friends at Home Title Lock. No matter where your home is, make sure you're protected. Did you know that American homeowners nationwide have over $32 trillion in equity? $32 trillion. Cyber criminals are targeting it with a growing scam the FBI calls house stealing. House alarms, doorbell cameras, deadbolts won't work against these thieves because they're after something else. Not your stuff, not your TV, not your computer, not your jewelry. They're after the equity in your home. If you've been paying that mortgage all these years, yeah, they're coming for it. If your title isn't being monitored, scammers can transfer the title out of your name into their name using a one-page document they found at the county, then take loans against your equity. Or they could even sell your house, and you wouldn't even know it until these letters start showing up in your mailbox, and you're like, that's not real. It's real. And by then, the damage is done. Best way to protect your equity, triple lock protection from our friends at Home Title Lock. Triple lock protection 24/7. Monitoring, alerts, any changes, God forbid the worst happens, restoration services, they can do it at no money out of pocket to you. Go to HometitleLock.com. HometitleLock.com. Use the promo code Gruber. You're going to save some money today, and you're going to make sure that your home is your home and not somebody else's. HometitleLock.com. Promo code Gruber. Support the people that support this program. Brock Palmbush with sports after this. All right, let's check in on sports with Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. Week 1 of the college football season concluded last night with TCU mauling North Carolina on the road, 48-14 in Chapel Hill. Horned Frogs quarterback Josh Hoover threw for 2 touchdowns, and running back Kivorian Barnes rushed for another. Jordan Dwyer had 9 catches for 136 yards and a score as well. It was Bill Belichick's college coaching debut at North Carolina. In Major League Baseball yesterday, there were 13 games. American League winners included Boston, the Chicago White Sox, and Houston. National League winners included the New York Mets, Cincinnati, and San Francisco. At the U.S. Open in New York, 4th round action continued. Men's top seed and defending champ Yannick Sinner won easily. On the women's side, Naomi Osaka upset Coco Gauff in straight sets, but second-seeded Iga Swiatek and American Amanda Anisimova both won. And in the WNBA, there were 3 games. Winners were Atlanta, Minnesota, and L.A. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock. Let's talk Bill Belichick for a second, Brock. Yikes.
Yikes is right. That was unexpected. I thought they would beat TCU, and they got off to a good start, and then, well, everything kind of caved in.
Well, yeah, they had, an 83-yard touchdown drive to start, something like that. And then from there, it was
they were up
ugly.
Yeah, they were up 7-0, and then I thought, okay, here we go. And then,
so is Bill Belichick's girlfriend going to have an issue with this?
There's always speculation, isn't there?
Well, she makes a lot of headlines. That's all. Makes a lot of headlines. So wouldn't that be the strangest thing that he's the greatest or one of the greatest professional football coaches ever, and he goes to the colleges and it just is a failure? Wouldn't that be something?
Well, Bill Walsh, same thing kind of happened with Bill Walsh, too. After he retired from the 49ers, he went back to Stanford, and it didn't work out there either, back in the early 90s.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Brock. All right, we'll take a break. We got a lot to cover here yet today. I'm glad to have you back. Short week, holiday week. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Follow us on all the social media platforms. Do as you're supposed to. I'll be back. always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent. Come on, man. We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
And it is the Steve Gruber Show on a short week. Welcome back to the conversation, my friends. Glad to have you here, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom. Who do you want in your foxhole? I mean, when it comes down to it, who do you want to be shoulder to shoulder with when it all hits the fan? It's time to get something done. I want you there with me. That's for sure. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, a tale of two peninsulas. The UP of Michigan wants a separate Natural Resources Commission because we're totally different. Totally different piece of real estate. Maybe they're not wrong. Number two, Nicolas Maduro, the Venezuelan dictator, facing his biggest threat in 100 years as Trump has deployed naval vessels around Venezuela to combat illegal drugs and drug cartels. Maduro says he can work with the United States. A little nervous, having said, we're all prepared. No, you're not. And number three, a second big, beautiful bill on the horizon now, believe it or not. A second big, beautiful bill on the horizon. Republicans in the House and Senate looking for ways to push the president's agenda with their narrow majorities. After a summer recess dominated by President Donald Trump's historic executive actions, House and Senate lawmakers returning now to codify into law more of his regulation-busting law and order agenda inside a second massive reconciliation package some are calling Big Beautiful Bill number 2. Big Beautiful Bill number 2. There's also a healthy dose of other work ahead on foreign policy, defense spending, election integrity, appropriations bills. This is from my good friends, by the way, Just the News, John Solomon. King Solomon, doing great work as always. A lot of new things are coming on, said Claudia Tenney, Republican, New York, a member of the powerful House Ways and Means Committee. We are just enhancing and making things more permanent, getting the growth economy that we need, getting away from some of the things that Democrats have done with over-regulation, continuing to fight back on rescissions and overspending. Members of the House and Senate will return to Washington after being gone for the last month. Republicans in the House and Senate will be looking for ways to advance Donald Trump's agenda with those narrow majorities, right? Tenney said that a lot of what the House will be focused on getting passed has to do with energy independence. It has to. Look, energy policy is the whole thing. The Chinese are laughing at us. We were bulldozing coal-fired power plants. England bulldozed all their coal-fired power plants. Now they're getting their power from France and the Netherlands. Netherlands burning coal. France, nuclear energy. England, oh, good God, what has happened to that island? The once great British Empire is, I don't even know if it's a shadow anymore of itself. Meanwhile, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin has done something absolutely groundbreaking. It's going to unleash American energy, which makes us more powerful and have more leverage against Putin, against China, and others, making them dependent upon us, said Tenney. And they're working on reconciliation part 2. We're going to look at step 2 of reconciliation to kind of finish some things that we didn't get done in the one big beautiful bill. The Senate in July passed that first bill signed by Donald Trump on the 4th of July. The law includes key components of Trump's campaigned upon agenda. No tax on tips, increased border security, extending the 2017 tax cuts. I'm going to tell you right now, I've got to look, but I think that we've had one murder in D.C. in, 2.5 weeks? Law and order is going to be a cornerstone of what happens going forward. Look, carjackings are down 85%, maybe even more now. They're down 85% in the first few days in Washington, D.C. Look, I was just there. It was my 4th or 5th trip to the nation's capital this year, and I go for a week at a time. I'll be back there in another month for another week. The point is this. It is a different city. Now you see your complainers and your whiners and your protesters coming down the street. They came down the neighborhood I was in. One day I'm in there having something to eat at the local little, corner pub, restaurant, whatever. And here they come cruising by, no kings, Trump's a tyrant, blah, blah, blah. But here's what I saw. I saw the National Guard out on street corners with people and talking to people and conversing and laughing and having a good time. And what I didn't see was any concern over that. Why would you be concerned? When I went to the Eiffel Tower for the first time many years ago, I found it striking that there were these three-man teams walking around, dressed in black, military rifles, at the ready, walking around three-man, because they don't mess around in France with anybody screwing with the Eiffel Tower. And there's numerous three-man teams working. What's wrong with that? And the answer, there's nothing wrong with that. It's called security in 2025. A lot of bad elements out there. They have access to equipment, guns, and explosives. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with protecting yourself and protecting the capital city. I would like to see those three-man teams operating in Washington, D.C. Three-man tactical teams walking around at the ready with real military assault rifles, working and protecting and looking out, right? So I have no issue with that whatsoever. Chicago, the latest numbers for Chicago, last time I looked, 60 people had been shot. 11 had died. I'm going to get your updated I'll get it for you right now because I can do that. Great thing about there's one thing of great about AI. I can sit right here and say, hey, what happened? Labor Day weekend shooting stats, Chicago. Let's see here. 57 people shot. 11 died. More than 30 separate shooting investigations from Friday at 5 to Monday at midnight. So it might have been a little bit higher if you counted yesterday. Let's see here. Drive-by attacks. Key says two mass shootings. Two mass shootings in Chicago over the weekend in the Bronzeville neighborhood. One on Saturday night near 35th and State, where 7 people were shot in a drive-by. Another early Monday at 36th and College by Ellis Park, 5 people shot, including a 17-year-old in critical condition. So we have 2 mass shootings in Chicago just over the weekend. How many mass shootings were in D.C. over the weekend? 0. Democrats fighting law and order will find themselves on the wrong end of this deal. 100%. They are so wrong about this again. And this is why their message is being rejected across this country. Doesn't sell with anybody. Being shot doesn't sell with anybody. Ann Vandersteel is coming up. She's the co-founder of the American Made Foundation, host of Steel Truth, considered a thought leader and trailblazer in new media. Ann Vandersteel coming up after the break. right, try to get you the best voices for the best consideration here on the program whenever possible. My next guest, Ann Vandersteel, co-founder of American Made Foundation, host of Steel Truth, a thought leader, a trailblazer, an influencer in new media. She's with me. Ann, nice to have you this morning.
Good morning, Steve. It's good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Nice to see you. All right, so just real quickly, we were talking in the break about the violence. The latest numbers I have from Chicago here, and I had to go to AI to get this, but whatever. 61 shot, 11 dead. It's an absolute war zone. And Chicago's murder rate's down a little bit this year, but so what? You'll have 400 or 500 people murdered in Chicago this year, and the mayor and the governor are like, well, that's okay. We're doing fine. We don't need any help from Donald Trump. Clearly, yeah. They need a lot of help from Donald Trump and everybody else. I mean, it's insane, isn't it?
It is insane. And, you know, Steve, this should be the wake-up call for not only the citizens and people of Chicago, but for the rest of the country, that when your own government fails you, the people, fails to protect you, the people, from whether it's domestic enemies or foreign. And I still contend all the governors during the Biden regime reign of terror fell down too, because none of them enforced that foreign invasion. They didn't repel that foreign invasion going on for 4 years. They had Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3 to stand on and say, you're out of here. But when your own mayor is just, complicit in the crime against their people, this is when, somebody who has the authority needs to step in and protect the people. And at the end of the day, President Trump's job, the mandate that we the people gave him when we elected him overwhelmingly in November of 24 was, we don't want this crime and we don't want the people that are perpetrating it. And largely we're seeing it through the importation of foreign terrorists into this country. And Michael John and I saw it firsthand, Steve, with Operation Burning Edge. We watched these criminals come pouring in across our border during the Biden regime. So, I think that the president is wholly within his jurisdiction and duty to we the people to protect us.
And that's the point. The one job of government, whether it's local, state, federal, the one job of government is to protect its citizens. That's it. That's your number one job. And if you can't do that, then somebody should step in and do it for you. And look, we've seen the National Guard come into different places for emergencies. If there is a crime emergency in America, which I think many would argue there is, from San Francisco to Chicago to Boston, figure it out and do something about it. The thing about Democrats is they're on the wrong side of this. Completely the wrong side, because people, 81% of the poll released just last week, 81% of Americans, including 68% of Democrats, think that crime is a huge problem in America right now. And so that's a driving factor. Now, I want to shift gears with you, because a couple things I want to get to here. I was in the cabinet meeting last week with the president and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who said he's got some big information coming out this month on autism. And you have to wonder, it's environmental. I think that's pretty clear. Autism is an environmental issue. You've gone from 1 in 10,000 to what he said to us last week, 1 in 12.5 boys. 1 in 12.5 boys has some form of autism now. There's something wrong in our environment, Ann.
Oh, clearly there's something wrong in our environment. Not only have they been putting these adjuvants, these deadly adjuvants that if you were to read the label of just one of them, in other words, like aluminum, mercury, these types of things say, not good for human consumption, can kill, death, black box warnings. This is what they're also spraying in the atmosphere: aluminum in the atmosphere, strontium in the atmosphere, barium in the atmosphere. This is a wholesale fire war against we the people. And, thank God Secretary Kennedy is calling this out. I mean, this is not exactly new news, but for the first time, a real administration is now putting together what I would consider extremely valid documentation for the public to consume and chew on the fact that Big Pharma, in collusion with these for-profit public entities like the FDA and the CDC, have been warring against the people, and they've been conspiring to hide the fact that this is a depopulation agenda at the end of the day. Bill Gates talks about using vaccines to control population explosion. So this goes completely antithetical to what, our directive from God when he, talked to Adam and Eve and told us to go forth and multiply and said to man and woman, I'm giving you dominion over the earth. Instead, we've had a dominion over to not only dominion voting systems, which is kind of ironic in that fact, but we're handing it over to unelected bureaucrats. And it's time that, we have people in the White House that are, pointing this out. And we need to rid ourselves of these scourge, and we need to see a fire sale of these agencies and reduce the size of government to the rubble that it should be. But again, going right back to what you said, Steve, protect we the people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to find some things that are in our environment. I know that Kennedy is focused on the vaccines, as he should be, and the COVID vaccines, and potentially a relationship to autism. I think we're going to find that it's PFAS and PFOAs and these forever chemicals that have become ubiquitous in our environment, that have become problematic, from DuPont, from 3M, from other companies who continue to produce these chemicals, even when they knew they were dangerous to we the people. They continue to produce these things, and I think that these companies should be held accountable. Now, having said that, I know you've got a new movie coming out. You've got a big event coming up. I'd like you to tell people about it, because I think that you're an important voice out there. Ann, tell us what's up on the agenda.
Yeah. Thank you so much. The American Made Foundation is presenting its second documentary. Our first one was on North Carolina, called Ground Zero, North Carolina. This one is called Taken, State-Sanctioned Kidnapping. And it basically focuses on the Rivera family, a family that's their story went national with respect to their 5 children that were taken by CPS, the Department of Children and Families out of Massachusetts, who sent a warrant out for their arrest, which ensued a manhunt of about 20 state police officers from Texas, arresting the parents at gunpoint, taking the children and putting them in the custody of CPS and foster care. But this family was really saying no to a vitamin K shot for a 9-month-old, to which there is no law that says you must vaccinate your child with vitamin K. So the overreach, the judicial corruption, the parasitic organizations. Not only do we have a documentary that's coming out on Sunday, the 7th of September, where we will have a live showing at the Legacy Theater outside the city of Boston in Dedham, Massachusetts. You can get tickets at AmericanMadeFoundation.org if you want to come in. The great Boston Bullhorn will be there, Jeff Cooner. But you can also watch it online on our website, American Made Foundation. We intend to expose CPS, the organizations, and we have a federal lawsuit we're dropping right after that, going after all of these people who are destroying children and families' lives.
American Made Foundation, you can look that up. Ann Vandersteel is out there. Make sure you follow her on X and all the other social media platforms you can find and keep up, because we bring you the thought leaders here so you can have, well, just be better educated every day. Ann, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, so here's a newly rolled out idea, and I'm not opposed to it. First blush, I'm thinking this makes sense. UP representatives, state representatives, are advocating for a separate natural resources commission for the UP, saying, look, what we have in the UP, you don't have in the Lower Peninsula. For example, wolves, mountain lions, right? In the UP. Some people claim there are mountain lions and wolves in the Lower Peninsula, but less evidence. We'll just say and leave it there. The point being is they are confirmed for sure in the Upper Peninsula, and it's a different piece of real estate, 300,000 people and a giant piece of beautiful real estate. And so State Representatives Dave Preston, Greg Markinen, Parker Fairbairn, Carl Bonack, all saying it's time to have a different Natural Resources Commission for the UP. Truly a tale of two peninsulas, says Preston. UP has wolves and cougar. The Lower Peninsula does not. Moose in our peninsula, elk in theirs. We have far too few whitetail due to out-of-control predation. They have far too many. The point that he's making is wolves are destroying the deer population in the Upper Peninsula. The imbalance threatens the whitetail deer population in decline in the UP, while Lower Michigan's seeing an increase. However, just so you know, and I had this conversation a year ago or a little bit less, had it last year, where the wolf expert for the DNR, the Michigan DNR, says the deer population is not being impacted by wolves. He told me that. He said the deer population in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan is being hurt by climate change. I can't make that up. Climate change is what the man told me. Pretty bizarre, if you ask me. At any rate, we'll see if that plays out and where that's going. Still to come. Michelle Mangiapane is an IW featured storyteller, veteran teacher, featuring as a project of the Independent Women's Forum, how red tape and politics drove one teacher out of the classroom. We're going to find out what's going on with this teacher after the break, right here on the Steve Gruber Show. And after that, Ivy will be here. You don't want to miss that. Public school system. Yeah, the public school system. My mother was a school teacher. My grandmother was a school teacher. About 1993, my mother said, yeah, I can't do this anymore because they've taken the control of the classroom away from the teachers and basically put it in the hands of the children. The inmates were running the asylum, apparently. My next guest, Michelle Mangiapane, is an IW featured storyteller and a veteran teacher. The IW features a project of the Independent Women's Forum. She joins me now. Greatly appreciate it, Michelle. Thank you for being here.
Yes, so thank you for the honor and the privilege to just bring light to the current situation as well, not just the experience that your mother had years ago.
Yeah, I mean, she left because they said, you can't touch a student at all. She said, this kid's out of control in the classroom, can't do anything, can't. She said, I'm done here. You know, you have kids that are, she taught fifth grade. Fifth graders get out of control sometimes. Sometimes you got to settle them down, right? Couldn't do that. She said, I'm out. What happened here? Tell us this story. It got to be too much.
So it became integrity. You know, there's just an erosion of integrity at the cost of political data. What we can communicate about our failure rates and our graduation rates, and integrity didn't matter as much anymore. You know, you talk about that your mother couldn't touch them, but again, social, emotional ended up being heightened. In place of actually teaching rigorous work and work ethic. And so often it was more about how the student felt as opposed to the work ethic that they had put behind the learning. And
here's something else. Maybe Mom was right about one other thing, because you're kind of focusing on something else here. She said one of the big problems by the time she left was standardized testing. She said what's happening in the public schools is they're teaching to a test. They're not teaching kids to be critical thinkers. They're not teaching kids to solve problems. They're teaching kids to do well on this test so they can look like their school district is doing okay in the eyes of the state or the federal government. And so they're teaching to a standardized test, and kids were losing the ability to learn and be able to learn themselves. The truth to that?
Well, in the state of Michigan, we didn't really connect any measures for the students to actually perform even on the MEP test, et cetera. So students really didn't put their best effort towards that whatsoever. I think more so the integrity is lost even in the classroom at the level of completion of homework. So there's many staff that actually don't even assign homework for mathematical learning because the students won't do it. Well, we need to rise up and hold kids accountable and teach them how to do the rigorous work that builds resiliency so that they can become critical thinkers, so that they can apply their learning to problem-solving situations. So I wouldn't say it's just a standardized test, but that is where I believe it began back when your mother experienced that, by all means. There are many that teach to that test when really we just need to build resiliency among the students.
We need to teach critical thinking. You know, how to solve problems, how to do it. I don't need a political agenda. I don't care about your pronouns. I don't care how you identify. I care about how you do math, if you can read and write, if you can do a science experiment. These are the things that matter. Critical thinking, not what to think, how to think.
And some of that is occurring in many of our classrooms with extraordinary teaching staff. My greatest concern are the students that are struggling, the students that are from our low social economic families. We're not really remediating their learning gaps. We are actually allowing them to just do what's called click recovery. We're allowing them to, if they fail, to just get back their credits, and not in a learning fashion with a teacher actually with them demonstrating that. So in many ways, especially in Plymouth Canton, there are higher level thinking that is being taught, and they are being educated at that level. But the students who struggle, we're not necessarily supporting them at their brain development. And that's really where my concern is. I was always drawn to the lower level learner, and we're not supporting them as well as we could and should.
Yeah, exactly right. You know, Michigan has fallen. Michigan has fallen, and when it comes to education. And now we look, when I was young, places like Mississippi were the butt of a lot of jokes. Mississippi now, they have the Mississippi Miracle, where their kids there can read. Phonics matter, sounding out words. I still do that. I'm an adult. I'm almost retirement age. I sound out words because that's what I was taught when I was 5 years old. It works. This idea of new math and new ways to teach, nonsense. The basics worked. The fundamental building blocks of education have always worked. We need to go back to that.
I agree.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And I just think from a value standpoint, we're not teaching character development and qualities and teaching kids that they can overcome struggles. So often, I mean, at least here in Michigan, the number of 504, which is a legal requirement for us to make accommodations for students due to test anxiety, etc., and different feelings that the students have, we are making accommodations as opposed to building them up and teaching them strategies, coping mechanisms. How do you deal with anxiety? Anxiety has a positive light, right? If I haven't prepared for my homework, if I haven't gotten the help I need to achieve mastery over a content skill, then I need help with that. I don't need excuses being made, or I don't need the length of a test doubled, or my use of a note card. I just need to be built up on a daily basis. And really, that's not necessarily what's occurring. We're
Yeah.
making accommodations instead.
Yeah, I look at the rankings of education in America. Michigan is at 34, 35, depending on what list I look at. So we have dropped tremendously. And we're doing our students a disservice. And when the legislature and politicians fight against charter schools and schools of choice in places like Detroit, where the charter schools far outperform the public schools, why do we want to punish kids and say, you must stay in that bad classroom, you must stay in that bad learning environment, and you must be staying in a failed school? Why do we do that?
Again, we started. So I come to you not only as a teacher of 31 years, but we started my oldest son 4 years ago now, 4 years ago, in my school. And his experience was that he came home and he felt indoctrinated. He felt like he was being pushed, an agenda was being pushed that as a white male, he couldn't achieve, and that he had caused damage even in the colonization of Africa. It was just quite ridiculous, the experience that he had. You know, I couldn't have a Christian flag flying in my classroom, but there's BLM flags and gay pride flags that are flying in classrooms, but even on doors, where we're creating a safe space. That's not what creates a safe space, whether I chose or not chose to put that flag outside of my classroom. The safe space is created in relationship, my relationship with parents as well as students. And I think that's also something that's lost. The schools have taken over the parents' role. Instead of educating and teaching the parents to rise, we are merely just stewarding the time that they give us, parents give us. So that's really another, I think, critical role to education, to bring back American values, to have a revival in education.
Yeah, and explain that there is not such a thing as situational morality. Either you have moral structure or you do not. Situational morality does not count. I got to leave it right there, Michelle. You come back anytime. We'll talk about it. We need better education for our kids, reading, writing, and arithmetic, the basic building blocks, the blocking and tackling, what it takes to get it done. Thank you for taking the time to be
Excellent.
here.
Thank you, Steve. Thank
Greatly
you.
appreciate it. There you
Bless
have it. Boy, is she right. Boy, is she right about everything she said. I mean, look around. What are our public schools putting out? A lot of kids that are indoctrinated or can't do what they need to do and can't do the basic things of functioning in society, sadly. When I come back, Ivy will be here. She can function in society. I guarantee you that after the break. You know, I'm just going to write this. How can criminals continue to operate right out in front of us? I just posted this on X because of an article that popped up from John Solomon. I sent it to Ivy, and she said, it's right here in my hand. Ivy's with me this morning. It's absolutely unbelievable. It's Ilhan Omar, Ivy, who has categorically denied being worth millions of dollars, and yet the disclosures just came out, according to John Solomon, our good friend over there at Just the News. It's jaw-dropping. Go ahead.
Good morning, Steve. Happy to be here. Yeah, when I came across this story, I'm like, how is it that politicians enter into the public sphere to
miracle investments?
Yeah, serve their communities, and they go in with not a whole lot of money and come out millionaires. So yes,
not just millionaires. Not just millionaires. The salary for Ilhan Omar is $174,000 a year. She's been there what, 4 years, 6 years, whatever. 174. That's barely enough. You can barely rent an apartment in D.C. on that salary. I know because we're there and you look around, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, so despite claiming just months ago, and I'm reading this from Just the News, John Solomon's publication here, despite claiming just months ago it was categorical flaws to call her a millionaire, a Minnesota Democratic Ilhan Omar's latest financial disclosures show a net worth between $6 to $30 million. She reported in her last financial disclosure that her husband, Tim Manette, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah. Well,
has a stake in two companies.
I thought she was married to her brother, but go on, yeah.
Has a stake in two companies that at the end of 2023 were worth no more than $51,000. But by the end of 2024, they were worth between $6 and $30 million.
So here's the other part of the headline.
The net worth increased by 3,500% in just 1 year.
So how does Nancy Pelosi go from, a few million to 413 million? Ilhan Omar goes from, being worth whatever she's worth, less than $1 million, to close to $30 million. A 3,500% return. People that get in the market, people that are plumbers and teachers and carpenters and workers in this country, they're happy if they have a return 8, 9, 10%. They had a good year, had a 10% return on their investment in the stock market. 3,500% it's not possible. It is corrupt. It is dirty.
Something seems not.
It's corrupt. She's criminal. She is a criminal.
Their assets ballooned from less than 1,000 in assets in 2023 to between 5 million and 25 million by the end of 2024. Rose Lake Capital, which is, I believe, her husband's company, claims to have $60 billion in assets under management. So either it's like, hey, if you do me this favor, my husband will manage your money, and we can make a lot of money together, and it's like.
So we know some financial advisors, you and I, that have been very successful and done very well. To get to $1 billion under management is it's a milestone for these people, right?
Yeah.
Because we know people that manage 500 million, 800 million, $1 billion, but to get to that $1 billion, $60 billion from $1,000 under management to $60 billion in a single year. You don't think she's being bought off? Give me a break. That's just, I'm sorry. That
certainly
just reeks
seems
of
suspect
corruption.
to me. You don't build that kind of clientele in 1 year's time, generally. So.
And none of it above board. None of it above
definitely
board.
worth more investigation.
Okay, so that's got my blood pressure all screwed up. Yeah. Anyhow, so back to.
Wasn't there a congresswoman or man that actually tried to put in a bill that wouldn't allow congressmen or women during their terms to be able to invest?
Trade anything. That's correct. That's in play now. I mean, look, if suddenly you go from being worth 500,000 to be worth 25 million in a year, look, the difference between being worth $1 million and $25 million is exponential.
Oh yeah.
It's not even the same. $1 million house is an automatic. A $5 million house, if you're worth $25 million, automatic. If you're worth $1 million, you live in a $500,000 house or whatever, right? I mean,
right.
It's not just a different league; it's a different sport. And so, for her to get to that point and a 3,500% return, I'm just going to say it. There's something criminal here.
Well, that's why we have career politicians, because they go there and they get super rich.
Right.
And it's not about serving the community, it's about
60
serving
billion.
themselves. And so,
Anyhow, all right, enough of that. Enough of that. We started to see a couple leaves changing in northern Michigan.
yeah.
Summer is officially over, but boy, was the weather great up in northern Michigan. You were surfing, the kids had a great time. So let's talk about something real nice for a moment, and that's how wonderful northern Michigan is this time of the year.
It is gorgeous. Well, fall is my favorite time of year. However, we still have some summer days left. And
We
it was
do.
a gorgeous weekend. Even at 70 degrees, it was absolutely gorgeous, no wind.
The lake
But I
was
do have
flat.
another fun story.
All right, go ahead.
A forgetful man wins two $500,000 prizes in one Powerball drawing. So he goes and gets a lottery ticket, doesn't recall that he went and got the lottery ticket. So he went and got the same lottery ticket because he plays like the same numbers every time. So he bought one on the 18th and he bought one on the 20th and he won both because he had forgotten he already bought a ticket. How hilarious is that? And so, hey,
Good for him.
he won, $1 million.
So hold on here. What is it? Speaking of that, the Powerball jackpot is now at $1.3 billion after
Holy
no winner
moly.
yesterday. I hadn't
Maybe
even
we
paid
should play.
attention to it.
Somebody has to win.
Well, yeah, we should. 1.3. So the cash payoff is like $550, $600 million. We can get by on that. Omar will pass us next year in value.
If we win $1 billion.
Yeah, because a 3,500% return on 50 million or whatever. Come on. Anyhow, Ivy, thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Love you.
Love you.
Yeah, $1.3 billion. I think the cash payout's going to be roughly half. All right. So if it happens, you and I can be best friends. If you're watching right now and you win the $1.3 billion, we can pal around together, you and I. And heck, I'll bring Ivy too. All right. I'll be right back. All right, looking at the futures here. As we get into September, Congress back in session, the Senate will be back, the House will be back. A big, beautiful bill number 2 on the way, potentially. Looks like the market's going to open a little bit lower today, 300, 400 points lower on the Dow. Still above 45,000. Above 45,000. Isn't that just remarkable to me? Gold is at 34.84. It's risen a bit. Still kind of in that range. It's range locked, you know, in 33, 3,400. It's a little bit up, I guess. Is that a new high? Maybe it is. Maybe it set a new high at 34.84. Looking at that, we'll see. It's pretty close to an all-time high, I guess. It got up above 3,400 in April and in June, so I'm not sure it's an all-time high, but it's close. Silver is over $40. That is getting closer to a new high. Not an all-time high, but pretty high. The highest it ever got was back in 2010, but it's on its second highest it's been, silver. So economy, you know, good things and bad. Bitcoin's at 109. If you care about crypto, and I do, it's at actually it's at 108 now. It's fallen today from 110 to 108.7. Why is crypto all of a sudden so bouncy? Anyhow, we're getting into September. How's the economy treating you? Send me an email. Always send me an email. SteveGruber.com, the place to do that. Tell me what's happening in your corner of the world, no matter where that corner is. Good, bad? Do you like what you're seeing? How's the economy? How's the crime where you are? How are things in general? What's the attitude of the people around you where you are? That's my question. Well, we're going to wrap it up for our first short week this week. Fight the good fight, keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. This is the Steve Gruber Show. Remember, only you can save America. And I want you to tell me tomorrow, who do you want in your foxhole? Talk then.